Welcome to the Kent Lapp Podcast.
Your parting advice, which was really good advice, was just keep swimming.
Oh, yes.
Persistence is undervalued. So let me ask you this. Do you still feel the same way, and what have you learned in regards to just keep swimming? Because you've been through some stuff.
That could not be more applicable to the last several years of my life. And about this time last year, I actually got to speak to a class at Vanderbilt, and that was what I left them with, was the Finding Nemo, just keep swimming. Because, and gee whiz, who knew a year ago? I mean, here we are in late October 2020, and COVID. And for me and for my work, and I guess we'll get into this, is this the tornado that hit our business this year, and then even going back to a year. So it was February of 2017.
Yep.
I completely walked away from what I had been doing for 11 years in February of 2018. So exactly a year after that podcast interview.
Yep.
I flipped over to a completely different thing from having been self-employed for 11 years.
Is that when you joined Technoaid?
That is.
February of 18. So you've been there 2.5 years.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And did they hire you as president, or did you kind of work your way up there?
No, they hired me as president. And so the way I tell it is Technoaid had been a client of mine over the years, and for several years I had worked with them. They actually had a sub brand, which is specifically what I worked with them on, called Updesk. So it's an adjustable height desk company, and Technoaid is not in the Updesk business anymore, but they were at that point in time.
Yep.
Or in 2012 is when Updesk launched, and so from 2012 through 2014, I worked with them, and then a little bit off and on. And in December of 2017, it was following what was a pretty rough up and down season of self-employment. And as a self-employed guy, at that point, that was 11 years. I remember having on many occasions talked to my wife, and early on, I just had to tell her, you're on this journey with me. You're on the self-employed journey with me. My wife is and was a stay-at-home mom. Now, she has launched her own business. We can talk about that later. She's a personal organizer, and so she's organizing homes across Nashville now.
What's it called?
Seaver Organizing Company.
Seaver, Seaver. Seaver Organizing Company.
Yes.
People can just Google it,
but
it's just Nashville.
It is in the Nashville area. Although she's doing virtual now because
cool. So anyone listening to this could get in on that.
She's had people around the U.S. reach out to her.
Very cool.
So until recently, and through our entire almost 20 years of marriage now, she has been a stay-at-home mom, and which is particularly stressful when your husband's and your family's sole income is coming through whatever work you get. And so I had always talked to her about how she had a veto card, and that she could shut it down.
I remember we talked
at
about
any
this
point,
last time.
And if she wanted to get off the crazy train, just say, "Hey, I can't take it anymore," because it is a lot of up and down. Self-employment is a lot of roller coaster. You can have some high highs and some very low lows. And the momentum shift from one to the other can sometimes be very dramatic. And if you don't have the stomach for it, it is just truly not for everyone.
Yeah.
And she was able to hang in there for many, many years. And we saw some high highs, we saw some low lows. And by, I would say, late summer of 2017, I saw her kind of reaching for that veto card in her pocket, kind of reaching around for it. I was like, "Uh-oh, here it comes." And frankly, I thought, I think I'm with her. I think it's just maybe time to do something else. And so that whole fall of 2017 was really about trying to figure out what can I do? What does it look like to not be self-employed after this long? And how marketable am I? Like, what kind of resume does a self-employed person who's been consulting a bunch of businesses? Like, on the one hand, it was really good, but what became very apparent as well is that the the things that people were looking for to hire on as a full-time employee were not consistent with my background because it seemed a little bit too project oriented, and it was very like, well, what does he actually do? What did you know?
Sure.
When it comes to resumes, people want something very safe and
Right.
and sort of reliable and secure.
And proven.
And I think I seemed too risky to most people.
Sure.
And maybe I am. And so kind of where she finally played the veto card, and I said, "Hey, honey, I'm with you. So you're playing it. I'm ready." There was no argument. There was no fight. It was just like, "Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's figure out what's next." So to just keep swimming and let's be persistent with the right attitude. I mean, you can be persistent and begrudgingly move forward through your days and frankly drag everybody down with you.
Yes, for sure. Well, I was going to ask if she sort of played that veto card, did you sort of begrudge her the fact that she did that? Or it sounded like you were pretty well on board with it as well.
I was at that point in time, I was ready. Had she done it 6 months earlier, I don't think I would have been as receptive.
Okay.
And so the providential timing of all of that, I think of just me being prepared for it, me coming to terms with some things, frankly, probably letting some dreams die or just killing them off, putting them out of their misery.
Yeah.
I think all of that just kind of came together over that period where I could tell for all of 2017, she and I were kind of on the fence of like, how's this whole employment thing really going to work? And so 2017 was truly a kind of a final test year.
I see. Okay. Well, I wanted to ask about the dreams too, and you just mentioned it. So, you